Many of us think of the continent as a vast white wasteland, unpopulated save for penguins and seals. But beneath its icy surface, scientists are beginning to discover vast networks of complex life forms unseen anywhere else on the planet. Besides, there is also a kingdom that has been sleeping deep beneath the ice layers of Antarctica for millions of years. Antarctica is the southernmost and least populated continent on Earth. It lies almost entirely south of the Antarctic Circle and is surrounded by the Southern Ocean, also known as the Antarctic Ocean. With an area of more than 14.2 million kilometers squared, Antarctica is the fifth largest continent in the world, after Asia, Africa, North America, and South America, and about 40% larger than Europe. Antarctica is the coldest, driest, and windiest place. It also has the highest average altitude of any continent. Most of Antarctica's territory is covered by the Antarctic ice sheet, forming a giant ice plateau with an average altitude of 2,350 meters above sea level. This ice sheet covers about 98% of Antarctica and contains up to 26.5 million kilometers of ice. This volume is nearly 7 times greater than the volume of the East Sea, meaning it would take 7 East Seas to fill Antarctica's ice mass. Besides, this ice sheet also accounts for more than 61% of the world's freshwater volume. With such a huge volume, in case the Antarctic ice melts completely, it will be a real nightmare for all humanity. First, it is certain that the sea level will rise more than 60 meters and submerge coastal lands with terrible floods. Areas like the Amazon River basin will be submerged deep under the ocean. If the ice in Antarctica continues to melt, the next thing that will happen is that the salinity of the ocean will be seriously affected by the amount of fresh water from the melting ice. We all know that the salinity of the sea is of great significance to the life of the entire Earth, but if that salinity decreases, it will cause an imbalance in the ecosystem and sensitive species such as corals. Moss will likely become extinct soonest. At the same time, it also disrupts ocean currents, eliminating water circulation and causing disorder in Earth's weather system. Already very complex, it is subject to strong negative impacts, such as desert areas that can be submerged by floods or agricultural areas that become dry. Antarctica is divided into 2 regions by the Sioux Antarctic Mountains, or the Central Stepping Mountains, stretching from the Victorian Land to the Ross Sea, West Antarctica, and East Antarctica. East Antarctica contains many volcanic rock deposits and many types of metamorphic rocks and is not well known to geologists. This area covers most of the Antarctic continent, including the central Gamburtsev Mountains, and is almost permanently ice-covered, with ice layers averaging about 3 kilometers thick. Overall, East Antarctica has relatively low biodiversity. Only a small number of terrestrial plants, insects, and lichens survive here. The coasts are breeding grounds for many species of birds, penguins, seals, and more. They often breed on the surrounding ice during the summer. While the West Antarctic region has a smaller area and is covered by part of the Ross Ice Shelf and most of the Filchner-Ronne Ice Shelf. In addition to the very thick layer of ice on the surface, underneath the ice layer is the product of tectonic episodes, including younger sedimentary and volcanic rocks. Because this area is an important part of the Ring of Fire, which is a tectonically active area around the Pacific Ocean, of the 138 volcanoes discovered here, 2 are still active, dynamic. Both had eruptions, but they did not cause serious destruction. Among them, Ross Island's Mount Erebus is currently the most active. It is nearly 4,000 meters above sea level, and the crater is 807 meters in diameter with a depth of 274 meters. At the same time, it is one of the only volcanoes on Earth to have a continuously molten lava lake in its crater. Compared to the eastern region, the ice sheet in the western region is also deeper below the sea surface and is also much more vulnerable because it is located in the warming Southern Ocean. In addition, its current area and shape are believed to come from the collapse of other ice shelves during the last interglacial period. An interglacial period is a period alternating with ice ages. During an ice age, the Earth's average temperature is warmer, leading to increased ice sheets in the polar regions. Occupying the largest area in West Antarctica is Marie Byrd Land. While much of Antarctica has been claimed by many countries, this land is completely derelict. With an area of approximately 1,600,000 kilometers, Marie Byrd Land is the largest single unclaimed territory in the world. This inherently comes from its remote location and somewhat rugged terrain. Besides, in Marie Byrd Land, there is also the famous Mount Sidley, with an altitude of 4,285 meters above sea level. This mountain is a member of the 7 volcanic peaks group and is also considered one of the highest places in the world due to its remote location from the Marie Byrd Land region in general, as well as its covered slopes, its snow and ice in particular. We often call Antarctica a continent, but unlike other continents, such as the North American continent, Antarctica does not have a country or territory. Even this continent is not an independent country. However, Antarctica is currently governed by about 30 countries, all of which are members of the 1959 Antarctic Treaty System. Among the members of the treaty, there are 7 countries that claim sovereignty over Antarctica, rights to Antarctic territory. Under the terms of the treaty, military activities, mining, nuclear testing, and nuclear waste disposal are prohibited in Antarctica. Tourism, fishing, and research are the main human activities in and around Antarctica. During the summer months, an estimated 5,000 people reside at the research stations. After that, this number usually drops to about 1,000 people when winter comes. Despite the continent's remoteness, human activities have a significant impact on the continent through pollution, ozone depletion, and climate change. If you spend the winter in the Antarctic regions, be prepared for colds ranging from -10 degrees Celsius down to -30 degrees Celsius. In contrast, average summer temperatures can range from 0 to 9 degrees Celsius. However, if you continue to go deeper into the continent, the temperature will continue to drop. In the high mountainous areas inland, temperatures can drop to 60 degrees in winter and fluctuate around -20 degrees in summer. And with an average annual rainfall of only about 200 millimeters, it can be said that Antarctica is like the largest cold polar desert in the world. The mystery beneath the Antarctic ice layers. Have you ever wondered if there is something hidden deep beneath the dense layers of ice that the world has yet to discover? If the Antarctic ice sheet melted completely, what would we find? And what challenges will humanity face? If that happened, looking from a map, you would see Antarctica today looking like this. Technically, the red parts at the edges are basically just ice floes floating in the ocean. However, if you peel away all the ice layers, you will discover something surprising about Antarctica. Images taken from the map called Bed Machine Antarctica that NASA released in 2021 show that hidden deep beneath the ice layers is actually a collection of individual islands, shaped formed by volcanoes and other massive volcanic canyons and valleys. At that time, the Antarctic Peninsula will become the largest island at the Earth's south pole with an area of about 250,000 kilometers. It is even larger than the area of Laos, while the Vinson Massif, with an altitude of up to 4,802 meters above sea level, will become Antarctica's highest altitude island. Besides, the transantarctic mountain range also appears more clearly, as it has almost no connection with the main landmass of Antarctica that we see on the map today. This is one of the longest mountain ranges in the world, with a length of up to 3,500 kilometers, and is also considered the boundary dividing the east and west regions of Antarctica. As for the mainland of Antarctica, it will now have an area of about 7 million kilometers, approximately the total area of Australia today, more than 7.6 million kilometers. The problem here is, if all of Antarctica's ice were removed, what would Antarctica actually look like? Because it lies beneath dense layers of ice, the continent's actual crusts have been compressed for long periods of time. So, when those ice layers melt completely, the continent's crust will be freed from the enormous weight of the ice layers and gradually lifted above the water's surface. This process can last for thousands of years and is commonly known as isostatic recovery. And once the topographic crust fully recovers, the new shape of Antarctica is predicted to look like this. It will create 3 large land masses, including a mainland and 2 islands, with a total area of more than 9 million kilometers. Among them, the Antarctic Peninsula and the small peninsula in the south, we will temporarily call Marie Byrd Land. This is originally a part of this land and will have an area of more than 650,000 kilometers and become the largest islands in the world. In addition, NASA's Bed Machine Antarctica map also helps scientists gain new, more accurate information about the ice areas of Antarctica. There is a risk of sinking into the ocean in the future, similar to other lands that have undergone recent ice ages, such as Scandinavia, Canada, or northern Russia. Antarctica will lack soil in general, and arable land in particular, because after millions of years under huge ice layers, all the sand, mud, and clay have been dispersed. So there is a high possibility that underneath the Antarctic ice layers, there are only rocks and gravel left, no longer suitable for agriculture. However, scientists still expect a tundra ecosystem consisting of vast tracts of moss and lichen to thrive and almost form a habitat similar to the Arctic Circle. Therefore, this place is not only suitable for penguins or musk oxen to live, but also Arctic animals such as hares and snow foxes. Under the ice of Antarctica, more than 400 lakes have been discovered, including both saltwater and freshwater lakes. These lakes are often called subsurface lakes and occur mainly in the McMurdo Dry Valley or other oases. These lakes are very important as they provide habitat and regulate the flow of glaciers. Among them, Lake Vostok, discovered below Russia's Vostok Station, is the largest subglacial lake in Antarctica, and is one of the largest lakes in the world, with a surface area of about 12,500 kilometers. It was once believed that Vostok's water had existed there for millions of years, but scientists now estimate that its water is renewed every 13,000 years by slow melting and freezing of ice blocks. Once the ice sheets melt and Antarctica's terrain is raised again, the continent's landscape will be quite similar to Canada's, as it is densely covered with lakes and small ponds. In addition, under the ice layers of Antarctica, there is also a huge natural mineral deposit. 600 million years ago, Antarctica was part of the supercontinent Gondwana. The lands separated from Gondwana today, such as Australia, South America, India, or Africa, all have extremely rich and diverse resource reserves. Therefore, it is expected that under Antarctica, there will also be such diverse mineral reserves, of which oil and coal are the most desirable resources. However, once the ice sheets completely melt, Antarctica will become a fierce battlefield for all powers to compete with each other. The discovery of these lands and lakes is also a way for scientists to study life beneath the giant ice layers of Antarctica. Can any creatures live beneath the 2 to 4 kilometer thick ice sheets in that cold land? Nowadays, if you go to Antarctica, you may be lucky enough to encounter a truly astonishing but equally terrifying scene. This is a red waterfall pouring from a crack in the Taylor Glacier and is one of the places of greatest interest to scientists and explorers in Antarctica. The special feature of this waterfall is that it is very cold, super salty, and red like blood. That's why people call them blood waterfalls. Scientists from Dartmouth College and Harvard University in the US confirmed that the water supply for Blood Falls is a saltwater lake below the ice, about 400 meters from the ice surface. They believe that, several million years ago, this salt lake was part of the ocean in Antarctica. When the water level in the ocean drops sharply, the lake splits and evaporates at high speed, making the lake's salinity 4 times higher than the ocean. Thanks to that salinity, it does not freeze even though it is located in the middle of Antarctica. However, about 1.5 to 2 million years ago, Taylor Glacier moved across the lake and sealed its surface. But in the summer, temperatures in Antarctica are warm enough for lake water to rise to the surface of the ice. Scientists have studied this water flow and concluded that the source of blood emerging from the ground is some microorganisms and iron oxide.